Thanks, Mike. Just wrapped up, and guys that have been out here to practice before. This is an earlier, secure time when practice is over. Because of the way we're doing the cohort lifting, we had a group lift before practice, two cohorts lifted before practice. We've got two cohorts right now that are also lifting post-practice, and then we've got 4 different cohorts that are socially distanced around the indoor, flexing and stretching so that we space out the entry and exit into the locker room so that we keep it spaced out for their continued safety. Really proud of the guys, the way they've handled this. Now we're 2.5 weeks into camp now, and just the way they follow the protocols, taken everything that we've implemented and done a really nice job staying with the program and staying with what we're asking them to do, and have been very successful with it. Today was the first day that we went in pads. We've been very specific. We've been had a very thought out plan to implement every single phase that we've gone to. And so today was actually the first day that we went in pads. The first 70% of the practice, we were in shoulder pads, we were in helmets. And then the last 30%, we went to some more loose play situations, actually put on their spiders, took their shoulder pads off. But we've been very intentional with how we've done that. If you look at the NCAA model for a September 12th kick, today would be the first day that we would be in pads. So we followed that model, made sure that we've gotten all our walkthrough periods in, the first 2 weeks of camp where we've been in spiders, and then today I thought the guys handled it very well the first day that we've been in pads. We've had a bubble mentality around here. The guys have been protecting their own individual bubbles, and then collectively as a group, as a coaching staff, coaching families, our players, all of the support staff have really embraced all the things that we need to do on the field, off the field, in the community, in the dorm rooms to be successful. And then the next layer, which started on Monday, is now they're starting to go to classes, some in person, some hybrid, some virtual, whether it be synchronous or asynchronous. All of those things are happening, and we've got to make sure we're still following all the safety protocols and executing all of that at a very high level. I've been very impressed with our assistant coaches. I get probably far too much credit for how we've been doing this and the things that we've implemented. It is our assistant coaches and our staff that communicates with the players, make sure they enforce the protocols, make sure they're educating them constantly, make sure they have relationships built on love and trust that helps reinforce the message. And I think it's pretty cool too that we get to have them up here and talk to you guys. You get to see their personalities. You get to see how great of coaches they are, how good of people they are, how much they love their players, their position groups. I think those kind of things are special. I understand that doesn't happen everywhere, but I am proud of this group of guys, and anytime that we can help them professionally, we want to make sure we do that all the time. So with that, I guess I'll open up for questions.
Okay, like we've done here in the past, if you could please raise your hand using the raise hand function on Zoom, and we'll call on people individually. And we will go ahead and start with George Henry from the Associated Press.
Hey, George.
Hey, Coach. Good morning. I'm curious where you stand with your quarterback competition, and if you can see that maybe getting down to the game week before you decide on somebody.
I've been very pleased with that battle. Obviously, we had 2 extra weeks of walkthrough period, OTA period, for them to really dive into the offense. I think the development of that position throughout the times that we were quarantined and throughout the times that we were apart, they have made leaps and bounds understanding our offense, understanding their reads, their progressions, everything that goes into playing a big-time quarterback role in our program, they've done a really good job. There is really good competition. We still haven't had a scrimmage yet. We're planning to have one on Saturday. So those kind of things, when it's live situations, you're going to be able to tell a lot. But they've spun the ball really, really well. Some days certain guys elevate a little higher than others, but been really proud of the development in that room, the leadership in that room, how they come to work every single day and compete. They've got a good relationship with each other, but you know that they're really fighting and really trying to position themselves in a spot where they can lead this program. Been really proud of all of them, and excited to see, especially the next week and a half, this thing unfold.
Next up, Kelly Quinlan from Rivals.com.
And real quick, do we want to talk about the starting nose guard or the starting right tackle or those things? I'm happy to talk about those things as well, not to be too sarcastic, but go ahead, Kelly.
Hey, Coach. I was just curious. I've talked to some of your counterparts across the league, and they seem to like the way that this has been a little bit of an elongated camp period, and it's been kind of more gradual build-up. Is that something you'd like to see continue in the future, maybe having more time to get your guys ready instead of trying to cram 25 practices into, less than 30 days?
Yeah, so I thought one of the biggest things that we were able to do was the walkthrough piece where you get to do some football work before camp even starts. I think that's really been good for the development of our guys and leading into camp. I thought we've handled it very, very well. We made sure we stayed in line with exactly what we should do, the pace, all of those things. So I think that's been beneficial for us.
Hey, Geoff. Yeah, that was one of my favorite jams, by the way. Geoff, when you came to Georgia Tech, you brought the above the line model with you. Yep. And looking at the roster this year, it seems like you've built some good depth using that model. Yep. I wonder if you could speak on that and what you see.
Yeah, so we're really excited about that piece of it. We challenged the guys. It's no secret that we challenged the guys we wanted to gain as an organization 10 pounds on average, which is not an easy task to do. We did the study last night, and it's actually, as a collective, as a team, we've put on 13 pounds, the above-the-line roster to the above-the-line roster right now. We're not prepared to release the above-the-line as it is yet. We're going to let our scrimmages before we release that publicly, but really been impressed. Our offensive line, I think, has gained 1.5 inches in height. 18 pounds. Defensive line, I think, is 1.6 inches in height and 17 pounds. So those things are huge for us up front. Trying to make sure we're matched up physically and strength-wise, all of those things. But really been pleased with the way the guys work. If you came out here to practice, we're rolling guys in left and right, mixing and matching the personnel groups, moving guys up and down the line on both sides of the ball. There's been some guys that have played 5 technique that will kick inside on third downs or even in normal downs. You guys all know how we do our secondary, where they learn corner, they learn safety, they learn nickel, they learn dime, and we have the interchangeable parts throughout practice. So the position flexibility piece that you guys have heard me talk about a ton is still ever present in this current situation that we're in. The guys have embraced it, and just excited to see how we continue to develop leading up into game week.
Next up, we've got Ken Segura from the AJC.
Again.
Hey, Geoff, how are you?
Good.
Good. I'm sure you've heard or seen, what's happened at other campuses as school started and the numbers have spiked. I'm curious kind of what sort of things are you telling your kids about going out or not going out and to make, and help ensure that
Sure.
your team is safe?
Yeah, it's pretty much the same thing that I spoke about earlier, is we have a set of protocols that we've established, that we've tried to make better every single week, every single day, just emphasizing those protocols, we talk about it constantly, whether it be post-practice, just then when I met with the team from a distance, whether it be in team meetings beforehand, position meetings, our group text that we have going on. That is a consistent and constant narrative that we've got going with our guys. And, we talk about protecting our own individual bubbles, and then we're protecting the collective bubble as well that we're all involved in. And I've been really pleased with how the guys have handled it. And hopefully we'll just continue to handle ourselves in the proper manner, whether it be here on the field, in meetings, even though we're in large, spacious sizes, socially distanced, wearing masks. Continue that when they do go to class or they are out on campus. Just the protocols that we've put in place that have allowed us to continue progressing through the different phases. We've got to stay on track with that throughout.
If I could ask a quick follow-up, can you give an example of a protocol that you have for kids out, when they're on campus or away from the facility?
Yeah, it's the same thing. I mean, it's wearing masks, it's staying 6 feet away from people. All of those things are the same things we say constantly to our guys, whether they're here at the facility, where they've got the safety loops painted all over the field. They're ingrained now to know exactly what that distance is, and whether it be some member of our organization or somebody that's outside of the bubble, outside the organization, having that same mindset all the time when they're around or when they're not.
Next up is Mark Bradley, also from the AJC.
Hey, Mark.
Mark, I believe you're still muted. You'll need to unmute yourself.
Sorry. Hey, Coach. From your perspective, how difficult is it to prepare for a season that in your mind is going to start on September 12th and end in December, but in a lot of people's minds, there's still questions as to whether it's going to start or whether it's going to finish or what?
Well, I think the biggest thing is just the core philosophy of our program is control what we can control. And right now, here are the parameters that we're operating under. Every single day we come in here trying to get better, understanding the health and safety guidelines that are placed in front of us every day, following those while still developing at a high level, and do that every single day, just controlling what we can control, have a great attitude, make sure our guys, our staff, everybody in the organization is in an environment to promote their health, promote their safety, and to continue to get better every single day. We live in that mindset 365 days a year, but it's never been more relevant than it is right now. And I've been proud of the guys, the coaching staff, the players, even like the student equipment managers, the student athletic trainers. They're all in on this as well, and they've done a great job, because we could not do any of this without their support, without them doing the right things on the field and off the field as well. It's important to me to make sure we recognize those people. We talk about it all the time internally, but a public shout out to them. They make everything function, and they mean so much to us, the role that they play, not only making sure we can function at a high level day to day, but also so we can keep hitting our target dates in the best, safest, healthiest manners, and them following the protocols for all of us and for themselves is huge as well.
If I can ask one follow-up, and it has to do with what Ken asked. As just from your perspective, when you see the news of what happened at Notre Dame and North Carolina this week, do you think, uh-oh, here we go?
I just control what I can control. I'm sure that's going to get old. I'm sure that's going to get boring, but that is the headspace that I live in constantly. Here's the parameters that we have set. Here's the health and safety guidelines. Here are the protocols that we have at our institution within our football program, and make sure we're doing those things that we can control at the highest level possible with a great attitude. And, I'm the one that has to make sure I'm setting that mindset, communicating that mindset, but it's served us well, and we will continue to progress in that manner, making sure our place is the healthiest, safest, and following the protocols to a very, very high level.
Next up, we have David Hale from ESPN.com.
Hey, David.
Hey, Geoff, I'm going to ask you about right tackle and nose guard, actually.
There we go, my man.
Not specifically, but, look, you walked into a very difficult position in terms of pass blocking, I'm sure, specifically last year. You guys, I think, were last in the ACC in pressure allowed, second to last in pressures on the defensive side, and then you have this crazy offseason. How difficult was it to kind of get those two sides of the line of scrimmage to kind of be where you wanted them to be throughout this process, and where do you see them at right now?
Well, let me first answer the first question that you graciously asked me about the starting nose guard. Jamin Brooks, who wears number 0 for us, is doing a tremendous job. He's a former walk-on that earned a scholarship here. He will be the first person to ever wear jersey number 0 in the history of Georgia Tech football, and just proud of him as a leader, as a worker, being everything that we believe in this program, and he's done a really nice job navigating and pushing the defensive line, challenging our offensive line, who has gotten incrementally better every single day since we've been here, and just really proud of him. You know, it's no secret we hired the best offensive line coach in the country, Brent Key, former Georgia Tech player, to come and help us make sure we're recruiting the right way, we're developing the right way, and again, back to that 18 pounds of growth along the offensive line, the culture that they've set in the room, the things we're able to do 2 weeks into camp are light years ahead of things we were able to do at this time last year, probably any point last year. And just proud of their development, proud of him as a coach, as a longtime friend, just to see the work that he's done, building the mindset, building the culture, fundamentals, technique at that position, and plugging in some guys that are some really, really good players, and just excited about that group moving forward, and even in the present as well.
Next up, we have Daniel Shirley from The Athletic.
Hey, Daniel.
Hey, Geoff. The second year of the program, how have you seen the leadership grow just from what you guys took over and where you are going into this season?
You would have to see it to truly understand where we are as a culture, where we are as the leadership piece of it, and it's just really inspiring to see these guys understand what we believe in, understand what makes a big-time college football program tick, the leadership piece, the accountability piece, setting a standard, upholding the standard. All the things that we talk about in our program, in our culture, is now being said by our players. And these young guys, we had one of the top 2 recruiting classes in Georgia Tech history, but they get to see every day how they got to handle themselves, how they have to prepare, how they have to recover, how they have to work, the effort that's required every single rep at practice, the focus, how to take care of your bodies, all of those things. Again, it goes to our assistant coaches, but the leadership group, I've got a leadership text message that me and Lou Corrala are on, and just the messaging that's in that group is really, really good. And then that gets filtered down throughout the positions, throughout both sides of the ball, throughout the cohorts that we have established on our team. I could spend hours talking about the cultural piece, the leadership piece that we've developed, and even during the parts of the quarantine where we were separate, we were still having those Club 1010 leadership group meetings, Zoom meetings every single week, probably even sometimes twice a week. And just the pride that I have in these guys is through the roof. One of the neat things that we do at practice, most places that I've ever been, the head coach sends the message, the head coach brings 100 guys up, tells them what the next period is or what's going right or what's going wrong. What we've been able to do over the last 18 months, and it's getting better over time, is I'll call 3 or 4 guys up. I'll tell those 3 or 4 guys the message, and then they'll go tell the rest of the team. This real time at practice, it's, in meetings, those kind of things, but just the ability for them to take a message, put it in their words, and then make sure the thing gets accomplished and the mission gets done. It's really cool to see, and to have the trust that I have in this group of guys that understand what we're trying to do and the level that we're trying to attain and will attain, and them going and making sure the other guys understand that it is powerful.
Next up is Alex Glaze from Channel 11 here in town.
Hey, Alex.
Hey, Geoff, how's it going? Sorry if you've
Good.
already been asked this, just had to hop on a little bit later. But a question not related to necessarily your program, more of an ACC question. Just when you see what's going on at Notre Dame and North Carolina with, students, not being on campus and, football teams still practicing, just your thoughts on that and kind of how those things are developing.
Sure, and Alex, you are right. That has been asked. I have answered it, but I don't mind entertaining. I think very highly of you. It just goes back to us controlling what we can control, making sure our guys understanding our protocols on the field, off the field, and then having the ability to take lessons that are learned from other places, share it with our guys, so that they understand the magnitude of the situation that we're in and handle themselves the right way on and off the field, and the guys have done a really nice job with that.
Okay, we have time for just a few more for Coach Collins, and we'll start with Patrick Canaro from Dahlonega Nugget.
Hey, Patrick.
Good morning. Good morning, Coach. How are you?
Hey, bud.
Back to football level, September 12th is right around the corner. Can you tell us a little bit about your kicking game?
Yes.
Looking ahead?
Yeah. So it's obvious that we have Presley Harvin, who's one of the top punters in the country. He's doing a really nice job. We've got a couple other guys that have come in, and there's a really good competition going on for who's going to be the kickoff guy, who's going to be the place kicker, and it's a really good competition that we'll have periods that we'll do kicks under pressure, where we'll socially distance, spread out the team outside the hashes, turn up the music, get the intensity going where all eyes are on them, and have kicking competitions. We chart every single kick on the kickoff periods, obviously the field goal periods, and that's something that is ever evolving. But there's some talented legs and some guys that are really competing to be out there kicking for us.
Okay, we've got time for two more. We'll go with the last two that we have in queue. First is Kelly Quinlan, and then we'll finish with Ken Segura.
Hey, Geoff, one thing that I feel like we haven't talked about so far since you guys have gone back to work is the return game and kickoff and punt return, which wasn't where you would like it to be last year. Can you talk about who's competing there and what you're looking for?
Well, that actually starts back to our gaining 10 pounds mentality. That was one of the biggest glaring issues when we went back and self-scouted later in the season and throughout the off season. There were certain games that we might be 10 to 12 pounds per man outmatched on the kickoff units or the return units. And that's been a big point of emphasis, making sure our strength levels, our size levels are increasing. So even when we get in situations where there's loose plays in the return game, we've got to have our size speed guys out there for those matchups in space. We didn't inherit a roster that had tight ends. We inherited a roster that only had 4 linebackers. And most of the time, those are the positions that are your core special teams groups. And, we've implemented a lot of our defensive ends are on some of the return units as well, because they're, 6'5", 6'6", 240, 245, but can still move well in space. We've got some dynamic returners, but I think the biggest piece that we had to address was the size, speed, personnel that were on the punt return units, the kickoff return units, and even the kickoff units as well, to make sure in space we have those matchups. And they're actually out there finishing up their lift right now, and they're shooting, they're flexing their guns at Mike Flynn. So hopefully Mike Flynn does not flex back. I don't think he would win that matchup right now. But just really proud of the guys. Obviously, Wanye Thomas is a dynamic kickoff returner. He returns. Amarian Brown. Josh Blancato did some returning for us last year. Tobias Oliver. Marquez Ezard has been returning punts for us, so just excited to see those guys once we get into some live situations be able to make some plays in space, so it'll narrow down who's going to be the returners for us. But the biggest piece again is the personnel piece as far as the blockers on kickoff return, punt return, and the size speed guys on kickoff coverage.
Okay, last one for Ken Segura.
Hey, Ken.
Curious about the defensive line, you mentioned before, but kind of what do you think you'll see, pressure-wise, particularly with adding Antonius and some other guys, how that'll develop?
Yeah, just really proud of Antonius Clayton. I think my history with Antonius is well documented. I've known Antonius since he was 16 years old at Dooley County High School, and recruited him to come to University of Florida, one of the top defensive linemen in America. And then he's now transferred to us. Didn't get approval to play last year, but even though that was unbelievably disappointing for him, the news, he handled it with class, he handled it with poise, worked every single day as hard as he could. The academic load that he's been under here at Georgia Tech, one of the top 4 academic schools in America, how he's handled that with grace. He's attacked every single day. He is everything that we believe in this program, and he's a great player. And I think the confidence that Marco Coleman's instilled in him, how hard he's worked, his passion, his intensity has really paid off and permeated through the entire front. And it's right now we're going 6'3", 6'4", 6'5", 6'6", across the defensive front, and that's the guys that are running with a lot of the plays, and then some of the guys that are coming in, filling it in, but just been really proud of that group. Excited about Antonius Clayton, excited about Marquez Ezard. I alluded to him a little bit as a returner, but he's done a really nice job as a receiver for us throughout, the OTA piece. The first 2 weeks of camp, done a really nice job. And then Derek Allen is another young man transferred to us from Notre Dame, wanting to be back home. Marquez transferred to us from Miami, wanted to be back closer to home, and the way they've handled the year off, being engaged on the scout team, giving a great look, having a great attitude, and then now they're getting their chance, and they're really embracing it and doing a really nice job competing every single day. Derek Allen, the last 5 practices, it's just been an explosion of growth within our program, just schematically and understanding. We're very complex on defense, but understanding the nuances and getting better at those every day. So the machine's about to talk to the guys right now, so I'm gonna have to pop off and listen to this message. But thank you guys so much, appreciate it, and I'm sure I'll see you guys soon. Thank you guys.